You don't lose people when they walk away. You lose them when you hold on too tight, too long, and too afraid. Letting go is often mistaken for weakness. To the outside world, it may look like surrender, like giving up, like walking away without a fight. But the truth is, letting go takes more strength than holding on. It demands emotional discipline, clarity of thought, and a kind of courage that doesn't scream, but breathes deeply, stands tall, and simply says enough. Most people cling not because they're strong, but because they're scared. They hold on because they're afraid of what comes next, afraid of being alone, afraid of change, afraid of losing something they've invested time, energy, or love into. But strength isn't about fear, it's about choosing what serves your growth, even when it hurts. Letting go means you've reached a level of self-awareness where your peace matters more than pleasing others. It means recognizing when a situation, a relationship, or even a version of yourself is no longer aligned with where you're going. And that takes an extraordinary amount of strength, because it's easy to stay. It's easy to rationalize dysfunction, to make excuses for pain, to shrink yourself so others can feel tall. The hard part is choosing yourself, walking away without bitterness, and trusting that what lies ahead is better than what you're leaving behind, even if it doesn't feel like it right away. Real strength is quiet. It doesn't need validation or applause. It doesn't argue, beg, or chase. It simply acknowledges, accepts, and releases. That kind of strength is born from inner work, hours spent facing hard truths, owning your role in the story, and deciding that your life is worth living fully, not halfway. Letting go requires faith in the unknown. It demands that you give up control, stop trying to fix what's already broken, and resist the urge to rewrite someone else's part in your life. It's standing on the edge of comfort and choosing growth instead of safety. And make no mistake, letting go isn't just about people. Sometimes it's a dream that didn't work out, a belief that kept you small, a habit that served you once but now holds you back. It's all the moments when life whispers, "This no longer fits." You can fight it, or you can listen. And if you choose to listen, if you choose to let go, what you'll find is freedom, not immediately. Not without pain, but slowly freedom arrives. You breathe easier, you sleep deeper. You start becoming someone you recognize again, not because you fought for something, but because you finally stopped fighting against yourself. In a world that rewards endurance, we forget that wisdom sometimes looks like walking away, and not with anger, not with regret, but with strength. Because sometimes the strongest thing you'll ever do is unclench your hands, lift your head, and let go. People are not possessions. This is a truth that sounds simple, yet it's one many struggle to live by. In relationships, romantic, familial, or even friendships, it's easy to slip into the illusion that the people we care about somehow belong to us. We start using words like mine, and we think love means ownership, but genuine connection has nothing to do with control. People are not things to be kept, managed, or shaped to our liking. They are individuals with free will, separate lives, and the right to choose their own paths, even when those paths don't include us. When we treat people like possessions, we limit them, and in doing so, we limit ourselves. We cling, we demand, we manipulate without even meaning to. We hold on not out of love, but out of fear, fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear that we won't be okay without them. But fear-based connection isn't connection at all. It's attachment disguised as affection. Love that tries to cage someone only builds resentment, and over time, it weakens the very bond it aims to protect. True love, real respect, authentic connection, These are built on freedom. Not freedom to hurt each other, but freedom to be who we are, even if who we are changes over time. The person you love today may not be the same in 5 years, and if your relationship is built on ownership rather than understanding, that change will feel like betrayal. But if it's built on respect, it will become an invitation to evolve together, or, when needed, to part peacefully. The desire to hold someone tightly often stems from our own insecurity. We believe that if they leave, we are less worthy. We think their absence diminishes our value, but people are not trophies to validate our worth. Their presence doesn't prove we're lovable, and their departure doesn't mean we're not. Each person enters our life by choice, and the healthiest relationships are the ones where that choice is renewed freely, not forced, not obligated, not bound by guilt. It's a beautiful thing when someone chooses you, not because they have to, but because they want to. And it's even more beautiful when you have the strength to let them go, when they no longer do. Because love isn't proven in how tightly we hold on. It's proven in how gracefully we let go when the time comes. When you stop trying to possess people, you give them room to be themselves, and in that space, real connection can breathe. It can grow, or it can end with dignity intact. The people in your life are not extensions of you. They are not answers to your emptiness, and they are not the solution to your loneliness. They are their own story. You are lucky to be a chapter in it, but you are not the author of their book. Let them live, let them choose, let them leave if that's what they need, and above all, remember, you never lose what was never yours to own. Some people are lessons, others are blessings. Life rarely announces which is which at first. People come into your world like storms or sunrises, sometimes gentle, sometimes violent, sometimes unexpected. And in the moment, it's hard to tell what role they're meant to play. You feel drawn to them, impacted by them, changed by their presence. But only time reveals whether they were there to teach you something or to walk with you for the long haul. Lessons often arrive disguised as blessings. They bring excitement, warmth, a sense of purpose, even love. But beneath that surface lies a deeper truth. They've come to show you something about yourself. Maybe a wound you haven't healed, a boundary you haven't set, a truth you've avoided. They reflect back the parts of you that need attention. These people can break your heart, disappoint you, or challenge you in ways that feel deeply uncomfortable. But even in the pain, they give you something valuable: awareness, growth, clarity. The lesson isn't in the loss, it's in what the loss taught you. And then there are the blessings. These are the rare souls who feel like home. They come into your life and make it easier, softer, better. They don't demand that you change to earn their love. They accept you as you are and support you as you grow. They celebrate your wins without competition. They sit with you in your lows without judgment. Blessings don't try to fix you or control you. They simply walk beside you, offering peace in a world that's often chaotic. These are the people who make you feel seen, not just looked at. No, not just heard. It's important not to confuse the two. Just because someone brought you joy for a while doesn't mean they're meant to stay forever. And just because someone hurt you doesn't mean their presence was a mistake. Some people are here to ignite your evolution, to push you toward becoming who you're meant to be. That might mean learning to let go. It might mean finally understanding your worth. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay, but everyone can leave you better than they found you, if you choose to learn. Holding on to people who are meant to be lessons only delays your growth. Letting go of people who are truly blessings deprives you of a rare gift. The wisdom lies in knowing the difference, and that often only becomes clear with time, reflection, and honesty. When you stop asking why someone left and start asking what they were here to show you, everything changes. You begin to move forward not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Everyone has a role. Everyone leaves a mark. Some teach you how to rise after falling. Others hold your hand while you climb. Both matter, both shape you. But not all are meant to stay. Some people are lessons. Others are blessings. And sometimes, just sometimes, a few are both. You are enough without them. It's a truth that doesn't always feel true, especially in the aftermath of someone leaving. When a relationship ends, when someone stops choosing you, or when the support you leaned on disappears, it can leave you questioning your own value. You replay conversations, overanalyze your actions, and ask yourself what you could have done differently. You start to believe that their absence is a reflection of your worth, but it's not. Who stays or who walks away does not determine your significance. You were whole before they arrived, and you are still whole after they're gone. So much of our self-worth gets tangled in how others treat us. We mistake their attention for validation, their presence for proof that we matter. We begin to believe that being chosen by someone else is what makes us worthy. But that's a fragile way to live, because people are unpredictable. They grow, they change, they leave, not always because of something you did or didn't do, but because life moves in directions we can't always control. When your sense of self is tied to someone else's decision to stay, then your identity becomes dependent on something you cannot guarantee. The truth is, you don't need someone else to complete you. That story of needing a better half, of being nothing without them, is fiction. You are not a fraction waiting to be made whole by another person. You have value in your quiet moments, in your solitude, in the spaces no one else sees. Your dreams, your thoughts, your kindness, your resilience, these things are real and powerful, even when no one is applauding, even when no one is watching. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself. And when that foundation is strong, no loss can break you. You are not defined by who you lose. You are defined by who you are when you're standing alone. And when you choose to love yourself in the absence of others' approval, that's when your confidence becomes unshakable. That's when you stop chasing people who can't see your value and start attracting those who recognize it effortlessly. You begin to speak to yourself with kindness. You set higher standards. You protect your peace not out of pride, but out of deep self-respect. Yes, it hurts when someone walks away. It's human to grieve, to feel empty, to question things. But don't let that grief turn into a belief that you're not enough. The ending of a chapter doesn't erase the beauty of the story, and it certainly doesn't erase the worth of the author. You are allowed to be a work in progress and still be valuable. You are allowed to stand in the aftermath and still carry light. You are allowed to exist exactly as you are and know, deeply and fully, that you are already enough. Growth requires separation sometimes. It's one of the hardest truths to accept because it challenges the idea that love, friendship, or loyalty should last forever. We're taught to hold on, to relationships, to comfort, to what we've always known. But not everything or everyone is meant to stay for the entire journey. Sometimes the very act of growing demands that we create space, that we let go, that we move away from what once felt like home. Separation isn't always a sign of failure. In many cases, it's the very thing that allows you to become who you're meant to be. People change, you change. And sometimes that change takes you in a direction that no longer aligns with the people around you. What used to feel right begins to feel limiting. What once supported you starts to hold you back. You outgrow the conversations, the dynamics, the emotional patterns. And that's not something to feel guilty about. It's a natural part of life. Trees shed leaves, snakes shed skin, and people, if they're paying attention, shed versions of themselves and their surroundings in order to evolve. The pain comes when we resist that process. We try to carry everyone and everything forward with us, even when it's clear that they no longer fit the future we're moving toward. We confuse loyalty with stagnation. We tell ourselves we're being strong by staying, when in truth it takes more strength to walk away, to choose discomfort now in exchange for growth later, to say, "This isn't for me anymore," even if it once was everything. Separation isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, a slow drift, a subtle knowing, a decision made deep within you before any words are spoken. You feel it in your gut before your mind can explain it. And when you listen to that inner voice, as painful as it might be, you begin to step into your next chapter with clarity. You start to reclaim parts of yourself that got lost trying to stay small or trying to make something work that was never meant to last. It's important to remember that growth isn't always visible. Sometimes it looks like distance, like silence, like ending something that everyone else thought should continue. But deep within, there's expansion. There's space being made for new ideas, new people, new possibilities. There's room to breathe, to rediscover who you are when you're not constantly managing someone else's expectations or fitting into a version of yourself that no longer feels true. Separation hurts because we attach meaning to people and places. We create stories and memories, and we don't want to lose them. But growth doesn't erase the past, it simply asks us to stop living in it. It invites us to honor what was and still move forward. And when we embrace that, we begin to understand that separation isn't the end of connection, it's the beginning of transformation. The door you leave open is sometimes the one they walk back through. Not because you begged them to return, not because you chased or convinced them, but because you had the strength to let them leave with grace. Life has a way of teaching people what they couldn't see while they were standing too close. Sometimes the distance reveals what presence never could. And when someone leaves your life by choice, by fear, or by circumstance, it doesn't always mean the story is over. But the chapter that mattered most was how you handled their exit. When you love someone, truly love them, you don't need to slam doors. You don't need to turn pain into punishment or disappointment into drama. You simply accept their decision, even if it breaks something inside you. You let them go with dignity, and in doing so, you protect your own. Because nothing good ever comes from forcing someone to stay where they don't feel free. Love isn't about control, it's about allowing room for choice, and sometimes that choice means leaving. But time has a strange way of shifting perspectives. The silence that follows a goodbye can echo louder than any words ever spoken. The absence begins to reveal the weight of your presence. The very space they thought they needed might show them just how much you gave, how deeply you loved, and how quietly you stood by them, even when things were hard. And if their journey leads them to see the truth they missed the first time around, that open door becomes a symbol not of weakness, but of wisdom. It's not about waiting. This isn't about putting your life on hold in hopes that someone returns. It's about moving forward with peace, knowing that you honored the connection without bitterness. It's about understanding that letting someone go doesn't mean giving up. It means giving respect. And in that kind of release, something powerful happens. You grow. You begin to rebuild without resentment. You invest in your own healing. You stop holding your breath for someone else's clarity and start building a life that doesn't depend on their return. And yet that door remains open, not wide, not naively, but gently, quietly. It stays open because forgiveness lives there, because maturity lives there, because love, even in its most painful form, can still leave room for redemption. And sometimes, just sometimes, they return, changed, humbled, aware of what they lost, ready to do the work. Not all do, but the ones who matter, the ones who were meant to find their way back, will not be met with shame or ego. They'll be met with a version of you that didn't pause your growth, that didn't shrink in their absence, and that doesn't need them but still welcomes them if they've earned it. That's the quiet power of the open door. It doesn't pull, it doesn't plead. It simply stands strong, steady, and sure, reminding us that love can still exist without possession, and that grace often speaks louder than